Edison has been recognized as one of the 4th best places to live, not only in New Jersey, but in the entire United States. Our teachers work day in and day out to make sure that our students walk out of their classrooms ready to innovate, ready to solve real-world problems, and ready to make a difference.
Your schools are ranked in the top percentage in New Jersey educationally.
It explains why our hallways are bustling, why our classrooms are packed. The word's gotten out. Edison is a great place to live and to grow up.
Edison population's increasing and our students are increasing as well. Our teachers and our classrooms are not.
Edison Township School District has grown to 16,622 students in district for 2019. Based on the projected growth of our community, within the next 3 years, 2,919 of our students will be without a seat, meaning they are not within the district's current capacity. With so many children to care for, 6 schools have been strategically selected for major upgrades to alleviate overcrowding district-wide. Edison Board of Education is proposing the 2019 referendum to address the overcrowded classrooms, safety, and security of our children's future.
The school was built for about 1,600 students. I think there's 2,700 plus now.
We're pushing 600 students over capacity based on the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. The students are getting to class barely on time or late. The hallways weren't designed with the population size that we have now.
There's always what the state says is correct, but then there's what the educational research says is correct, and then it's what kids know is correct. And we're over by hundreds and hundreds in all of those areas.
Us teachers can't even walk around the room because there's so many desks crammed in. When I sat in this very classroom taking chem as a student at J.P. Stevens, it wasn't like this.
Overcrowding at this school is kind of ridiculous.
Going through the hallways is chaos.
See, at the intersection, it's like everybody's just standing there. It's like all crowded.
We have kids who sometimes will fall or get knocked down because there are just so many students in the hallway at one time.
Passage here, trying to get through here is an absolute disaster.
Our halls are not even, barely 8 feet wide, and it makes crossing Route 1 in the morning look like a picnic.
All of our specials are on carts, which means that the students sometimes during the winter never leave their classrooms. And I couldn't imagine being at that age not leaving the classroom at all.
I work off a cart, going from class to class, 6 classes a day. Sometimes classes are outside of the school, they're in trailers, we can't even take our carts there, so sometimes we're on foot with a bag.
The science classrooms have not been updated, probably not since the school actually was created in the 60s.
The shelving isn't even intact.
We were doing a lab by the teacher's desk. All of us were surrounding that one desk. Half of us couldn't even see. It was really hard to learn and focus because there were so many people.
We're not able to put air conditioning units into certain rooms because they'll trip the whole room. It's 1950s electricity, and it just doesn't go with today's electronics.
One thing right now that poses a huge safety hazard for us is our students having to go outside to the trailers.
The trailers were rescued from New Brunswick School District, got them for free.
Clearly, that was just a temporary situation, but now we're going on 5 years where we're using these trailers because we need the classroom space.
There is a distinct smell where we have to often put damper-rid buckets around the classroom to alleviate the smell or the moisture. There's parts of the wall from the moisture that are collapsing. There's the last row in certain classrooms. The kids cannot sit because of the rotten floor.
We're in a situation where we have to maintain them because we're keeping the trailers suitable for the students. But suitable is not good enough.
We want to have them inside the building so I know all my students are safe in the building at the same time.
I'm really nervous once winter sets in, how they will be going back and forth. It's a health hazard to all the kids.
I have French in the trailers. Every seat is taken up. A lot of people in the back can't hear her or see the board.
Doesn't matter when it is, you can't park. People are parking in lots everywhere, side streets, parking in people's driveways. It's really bad.
My mom has to drop me off a mile away from the school to walk because there's so many parents dropping their kids off.
You take a look at schools our size, we've got a gym that's for a group 1 school. We're a group 4 or 5, our gym should be 2 or 3 times the size that it is. Our athletic facilities just aren't up to par.
We aren't able to get the proper stretching or have the proper amount of space to do physical exercise because there's so many people crowded in one area.
I understand the library was shut down because of lack of additional room, and that is just so sad.
We have to end up cutting their lunches short so that they can leave early to avoid the bottleneck, because we can't have them being late to their next class, because then that impacts instruction.
You spend 15 minutes in the lunch line and you barely get to eat. It's gonna get worse. Because even in my 4 years of high school, I'm seeing things change.
The kids come back home, they always bring back unfinished lunch boxes. That happens every single day.
Sometimes there's not enough places for them to sit, or they're like on the edge of the bench.
I basically have like 5 minutes to eat. That's a pretty short time to eat lunch.
There's so much interest in some of the clubs and there's so many kids, we can't accommodate all of them.
Students aren't allowed to take the classes that they want to because it's overcrowded.
I've been in the district long enough when we actually did have full-day kindergarten at one point, then we went to half-day kindergarten. I know the benefits academically, emotionally, developmentally for those students when they had a full-day program. For our students who are in a half-day kindergarten to come to full-day first grade, it's a hard transition for them.
Last year we were in need of full-day kindergarten.
Getting the kids to another aftercare or before care facilities was an issue for us.
My first son had a half day, my second son had full day. The amount of learning that can happen from a teacher who has a child there for the 6 hours during the day is night and day.
Our assistant principal's office, one of them is in a closet that we've transformed into an office. We have a counselor who's also in a transformed closet/office.
We have 3 ladies from our food service committee that kind of all share one closet, and they have to serve the children in a hallway while everybody's passing. Their storage facility would not necessarily be used for a kitchen, but we use it now because it's all that we have.
The orchestra room is so tiny that the overflow has to come into our room constantly.
So our students then have to stand in the hallway and play their flutes or their clarinets.
We might even have to convert our custodial area into a classroom if this does not work, because we're in dire need for at least 4, 5, 6. Basically, we need almost 9 extra classrooms.
The referendum was proposed to address the New Jersey student standards for class size and environmental space for students. We'd effectively have to build a new J.P. Stevens to address the needs of all the students that are experiencing overcrowding at this point. But since that's spread out across the district, it's not a good solution.
I've had the chance to look at the architect's plans for the great things that we have in store for Edison. If the referendum passes, we really will get to move our schools into the 21st century. We are going to be able to take Edison to the next level and really show the world why we are one of the greatest places to live.
It's not just, well, my child's in this school right now and it's not going to impact them right now, but we know that high schools are going to be impacted greatly, and the students that are in elementary school now is going to impact them so much by the time they get to high school.
If approved, the total cost of this project will be $189.5 million. $31 million will be covered by debt service aid, funds from New Jersey for eligible school construction projects provided by the state. The rest of the cost, amounting to $158.5 million, will be covered by the total district share. Edison residents will, on average, see an estimated tax increase of $18.67 per month.
Edison has one of the lowest costs in the state to educate a child. In fact, there's 95% of other districts that spend more on education than Edison does. Those same districts have a higher administrator to teacher ratio. So what does that tell you? We're putting the money into the classrooms where it belongs. It is needed, and these schools are overcrowded, and we need to take care of this.
The education here is at such a high standard, and I feel like the overcrowding is really bringing it down, and this is one way we have to kind of push to keep our standards up.
There's no way in the world they should not consider this, because it's only going to get worse.
If we're not going to invest in our schools and we're not going to invest in the safety, people aren't going to move here, and if people don't move here, our property values are not going to be maintained.
The unfortunate next step, if we don't have the referendum pass, is that we're going to have to look at something called a split schedule for the high school. What is that? That is where we have 2 sessions of instruction for students. We would start slightly earlier and have a session in the morning, which would end in early afternoon, and then we would start a second session for the second half of the school that would start in the afternoon and end in the early evening.
I remember when there was split session at the high school. J.P. Stevens wasn't even here yet. Edison High School had split sessions, and it was a real drag. Sports were affected, music was affected. How do you have a football team if half the kids are there in the morning, half the kids are there in the afternoon? It's a major problem. It would be a major problem for us for sure, because how do you run a band program? It's impossible to put that together unless they're all here at the same time.
If the referendum doesn't pass, we are not doing what's right by our students. It's been hard enough for our kindergarten teachers to try to cover a full year's curriculum in a half day. If this happens at our high school, our students are going to fall behind. We want Edison to remain one of the best places to grow, to learn, and to be. And if we move to split-day high schools, it's not going to be possible.
A lot of my friends whose kids were in elementary have sold their properties and have moved out, primarily because of the overcrowding issue. So over time, it will in effect affect our own property values, and that is not what we were imagining when we bought our homes here a few years ago.
Our educational rankings in the state would fall. It would just be a downward spiral. Edison has always been one of the leaders in innovation ever since the first incandescent light bulb that was placed here. And I believe we need to keep that tradition going.
Our greatest asset is our children, and our children are our future leaders. We have to give them the best opportunity to learn. This bond referendum will help every child. It'll help our students here at Lincoln. It's going to help the middle school and also help the high school. So this is a huge, huge deal for Lincoln Elementary, because finally we'll get kids where they need to be.
No matter who you are, if you're a senior citizen, of which I'm a member, if you've got students that are in 5th grade, it doesn't matter at this point in time. This is so needed. It's such a major problem that it would be a major mistake if this referendum did not go through.
The referendum vote will take place on December 10th between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. at your regular polling locations. Visit abrighter.edison.com to learn more.